Tyson Gamble.
Comments were a month ago.
Yeah.
So I just don't know why all of a sudden it's brought up now.
I'm Isaac Marshman, host of the Marshy's Corner podcast. Yesterday, my podcast came into the spotlight for not the best reasons.
Tyson Gamble is under fire after speaking out about the coaching situation at Red Hill.
Kevy's the coach, but Reno is like the go-to guy for everybody. Like if you've got a question about like the team or like footy, you go to him.
So is he almost saying that Renault's the one that coaches the side? Is that what Tyson's saying there?
So that wasn't great. So basically, I woke up in the morning and I got a message from a mate saying, mate, Marshy's Corner is blowing up. Buzz Rothfield is a listener. To which I said, what are you talking about? And then he said, your face is all over Twitter right now. And I was like, for what? And then he sent a few screenshots and all of it was just basically, I don't know, listen to what Tyson Gamble had to say about Kevin Walters, blah, 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 blah. To which I was like, oh shit. And then all of the messages started coming in from mates and I was seeing it on social media and it kind of was everywhere. And my immediate reaction to it was, I feel really bad about this with Tyson, because Tyson Gamble didn't say anything wrong. And he's come on my podcast, he's done me a huge solid. Like, I don't have a super well-known podcast, and let me talk about Tyson Gamble real quick. Tyson Gamble has come on my podcast twice now. He doesn't actually know me. Like, we don't know each other outside of my podcast. He's jumped on twice. Both times he's been super easy to work with, once in person, once over Zoom, the latest one over Zoom. And yeah, not every athlete does that. So it's pretty mad that he would do something like that. So Tyson comes back on my podcast and we talk for 2 hours. This was like almost a month ago that he came on. Broncos were pushing for a top 4 spot. He had nothing but good things to say about Kevy, the other players, everyone at the organization. He didn't say anything wrong. The only thing that he said was he wished he was playing, because at the time he wasn't getting named in the side. And you know what? He has played really well over the last 2 years. Of course he wants to be on the field. He's a professional athlete. That's what you want to do. That's your job. But outside of that, he didn't say anything wrong about anyone. He was super positive about everyone. And the media has come in and taken one tiny little thing that he said and made it a headline, which has now resulted in it being everywhere, and it's kind of ridiculous. So shout out to media companies like Fox Sports that actually put my podcast in their in the article so that people could go and see it. Other platforms have not done that. They've just taken the clip and haven't referenced where it's from. So you know what? Thanks a lot, Fox Sports. Your headline was shit, but appreciate you guys shouting me out. Just while I'm on that topic, Denning Kemp, bloke in a bar. I buy your beers and you didn't mention my podcast name when you talked about it, all right? You of all people know what it's like to start a podcast. It's tough. You know, a little bit of a mention would have been nice for, you know, someone that enjoys your content, but that's okay. I forgive you. But yeah, Fox Sports came out with that headline. And the funny thing about that article was, if you click into the article, they have all the clickbaity, headliney, controversial shit at the top. But if you scroll down further into the article, it's like, oh yeah, by the way, Tyson Gamble actually had some great things to say about Kevy, and they list it. So I guess that's what media is, and that sucks. But, you know, it is what it is. Just going to touch on a couple of misconceptions, things that have been said that aren't necessarily true, that I can say are not true. A few people have said, why would he do this podcast now? Why would he say these things now? You know, in light of him, there's rumors that he might be signing with another club, blah, 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 blah. You know, Broncos are coming out of the top 8. He didn't say any of that just now. He said it a month ago when the Broncos were pushing for a top 4 spot. Okay, that's when the podcast was. It wasn't now that things are seemingly blowing up. whatever the media has to say, okay? And in terms of other things, just the rest of the misconceptions is, main quote that has been used is completely out of context. Now, if you're someone that's commenting on social media posts saying shit about Tyson Gamble, I've even seen a couple of comments about myself for asking the question. We were having a 2-hour conversation, and this is not what was said. It's been completely taken out of context. If you would actually like to comment on something, maybe go and listen to the full thing and not just read the headline and then put your 2 little shitty cents in. Go listen to my podcast, like, subscribe. Those things would be great. But go and actually have a listen. You guys will see how out of context this headline is, and maybe you'll think twice about the next time you comment on a post that you actually don't fully know the story. But yeah, in saying that, I want to shout out the people that are in the media that have actually said some cool stuff about the situation. So I'm going to finish this video off with those things. And yeah, enjoy that.
So he's looking at Reynolds, who's been he's been a top halfback for the last 12 years, and he's like, well, what can I do? What can I learn? That's just what, as I said before, when I went into rep camps, I would be asking all the best players in the rep camp what you can do. It only makes you a better player. He's only just comparing us. I just don't want him to get ragged through the coals, like saying that he's bagging Kevy Walters, because he's not. All he's doing is giving an honest opinion about how he's feeling.
Yep.
And you watch, the media will fucking turn on him, Brisbane will turn on him, and I just don't think he deserves it. Just have a look at the other side.
With twos, fucking so grateful that he gave me a run. He saved my career. He was a part of, like, I was going to go to Super League in 12. I ended up playing the grand final in 13.
He had a great 3 years there.
Mate, it was unreal. But to be fair, like, I learnt so much during that period of Glenn Stewart, off Jason King, off Brett Stewart, off Jamie Lyon. Like, all the veterans at that team were the guys that coached me. So when Gamble comes out and says this, I can relate to this so much, and I feel like he's going to get hammered, but I always like to give the perspective of a guy like myself.
Now, I'll say this. If I'm a coach, righto, I want my players going to my halfback for stuff, because the coach talks to the halfback, and the halfback takes it onto the field. And the reason Kevin Walters got Adam Reynolds for the club was for exactly that reason. Now, Tyson didn't word it right. There was a few things that if he had his time again, he wouldn't have said. But that is no slight on Kevin Walters' end. The best coaches I was ever coached by, they gave power to the 7. I interviewed Todd Payton a month ago, and I said to him, how much power do you give your halfback, Chad Townsend? And he said, I give him all the power. Yeah. It showed like they got Reynolds there for leadership, right? And when a coach hasn't got a leader in the team, he drives the team mad. That's what leads to overcoaching. Yeah. And so you want to hear from your leaders. Okay.